Hello, kia ora, g'day, I'm Philip Duncan from Weather Watch TV on YouTube with your Australia-only forecast for the next 7 days ahead, plus your 7-day rainfall outlook, recorded on Thursday, the 2nd of October. Let's get into it. We've got a fair bit of energy once more in the southeast corner. South Australia, Victoria getting thunderstorms and some heavy rain and showers coming in for the northern half of Tasmania, and that's all moving along eastwards as we go across Thursday. There might be a little bit of spillover into New South Wales, but otherwise a large portion of New South Wales is dry. A lot of that is just high cloud moving along. We do have some showers around Queensland, clearing as the sun came up, and isolated thunderstorms further around parts of the Kimberley and also around the Northern Territory. Large dry areas around Western Australia, and that is all due to a large high that is now finally moving in. But it's not going to last very long. It's actually moving quite quickly along the southern states. It'll move out to sea in the next few days ahead. So that brings temperature changes. The right-hand side of the high, the eastern side, that's where you've got the cooler winds going right up here into Queensland. On the left-hand side, over on the western side, the hot airflow in the northerlies are starting to kick in, and that's just going to get more intense from a heat point of view for some of you in the western sides and even some parts of South Australia over the next couple of days. But low pressure by this evening, sinking southwards away from Tasmania. So we've got windy weather this afternoon. This is mostly around Bass Strait and coastal parts of Victoria, a little bit through the mountains as well, even going up into New South Wales. But most of it is just blustery showers as we go through today, squally kind of conditions around parts of Victoria. As we go into Friday, you can see the high pressure zone now moving quite quickly along. It's pretty much moving out of South Australia and into Victoria as we go into Friday night. And so that brings lighter winds for most of you. Still a bit of a southerly breeze around Tasmania and the eastern side of Victoria. That southerly continues across New South Wales. A couple of isolated showers, nothing too much in there. Very similar story around Queensland, where those winds curve around as an easterly, and then you can see the northerly flow behind the high pressure belt, and that's where the red tropical line, along with some low pressure, is going to help drag that heat southwards. So you've got some hot weather on the way for some of these areas, and that's why we're seeing some thunderstorms up here in the north. And they move a little further into the Kimberley and out around some of the desert as we go into Saturday. The hot airflow, the tropical humid airflow comes right down. It'll lose some of its humidity, obviously, as it dries out, but you'll feel it inside that red line and nearby to it. You'll notice the temperatures really up. At the same time, in the southwest corner, that is the polar boundary moving in. And so between the hot weather and the cold weather and a wee bit of low pressure, we're going to see some big thunderstorms around as we go into the weekend out in the west. Out in the east, dry with the high pressure system very quickly moving out into the Tasman Sea. Southerlies and showers for Lord Howe Island and Norfolk Island. And look at this. The west coast of Tasmania with no rain in it. Haven't seen that for what feels like forever. Enjoy that. It's probably not going to last. So as you go into Sunday, the next surge of kind of showery weather, wet weather moves in. Look at the line of convergence though. Stretches all the way from Tasmania right up to the mid-west coast of Western Australia. So you'll see showers and thunderstorms all along that line. It may not all be at once, but that is generally the line that you're most likely to see them. The tropical heat still pushing into the northwest corner of South Australia, but it's not coming down into the more populated areas like Adelaide, for example. But if you're over in Victoria, the ACT, New South Wales, northwesterly winds, they'll be pretty warm in a number of areas with dry skies as well, and mostly dry skies right across the northern half of Australia, except for a couple of coastal showers in the far north of Queensland and maybe into the top end. So windy weather does kick off Monday morning once more around Tasmania. The worst of it is actually south of Hobart, out at sea. But blustery conditions come in over the hills, the ranges. So anywhere that's got purple shading or darker shading does have the risk of branches broken, isolated power outages, but it's hopefully not going to be too bad. But it lingers around a bit as we go through Monday. So as we go into Monday afternoon, still a bit windy around Tasmania, west coast wet weather, and the polar boundary comes up right over Hobart. So you'll feel the temperatures down a wee bit in that area. Further northwards though, it's a little bit cooler in the areas like South Australia, Victoria. It's not cold, but it's not hot either, if you know what I mean. Further northwards, westerlies around parts of New South Wales should be fairly dry in most areas, although there may be a bit of a coastal southerly that starts to sneak in for some. Northwesterly winds in the southeast corner of Queensland, and really northerlies and northeasterlies in most areas. So it's going to be mild and to warm. The hot weather is out here in the northern half of Western Australia and most of the Northern Territory and the very top part of South Australia. So if you're going to places like Ayers Rock or around Alice Springs, you'll feel the heat. It's going to be pretty hot here on Monday. By Tuesday, that heat starts to go a little bit further northward, so it's mostly cleared out of South Australia. The thunderstorms, which I didn't really talk about, but a lot of those are out in more like the national parks, not necessarily over more populated areas. But here on Tuesday, slides further into, again, fairly remote parts of South Australia. On the other side of it, southerly winds coming through here around the more populated areas, but the rainfall in the blue, it's only 1 to 5 millimetres, so don't get too excited. But you never know, there may be a few heavy showers in this line with a couple of thunderstorms in there. Most of that's on the western side of the mountains, and again, western side of Tasmania, where it's pretty windy again on Tuesday. Lighter winds for New South Wales, and once more, northerly, northwesterly winds around Queensland. You'll feel the heat on the western side of it. And in fact, that heat spreads further into more central areas by Wednesday, but it's gone a little further northwards here, perhaps north of Alice Springs by the time we get into Wednesday of next week. Down in the southern areas, cooler with showers coming through. It won't be very much. Those showers do increase though on the west coast of Tasmania. Once more, the polar boundary coming right up around Hobart. The good news is the polar boundary is dropping southwards. For those of you that are getting really tired of it, we are seeing it gradually going down. But as I've mentioned in the Climate Watch videos, we've got quite a few things going on at the moment which may enhance our spring weather pattern for those of you, especially here in the southeast, maybe a wee bit too, over in the southwest. And our final forecast map for Thursday of next week, 1 week from today, doesn't show a great deal of change. High pressure comes back into the South Australia region with just a couple of showers around. More showers around Victoria on the southern half of it, not the northern half, and it's not very much in the way of rain. Tasmania under the polar boundary again, so there might be a light dusting of snow here and there, and you've got you've got southeasterly winds coming through here going around the high pressure zone. It's a little messy because there may be a bit of a southerly in there for a time and a weak area of low pressure. That might spark a couple of showers around, and also coastal showers around Queensland as that tropical heat, the boundary here, pulling again further inland. So here is the rainfall for the next 7 days to make sense of it. Pretty quick animation. You see a lot of those thunderstorms and downpours. A lot of that is around the national parks here in parts of Western Australia, but it could affect populated areas as well, because that exact area could still move around a little bit over the coming days, spills over into South Australia, then pretty much fades out. But there is a bit of rain relief coming into Victoria, maybe not as much though for those of you that need it further into the northwest and along the New South Wales border, and certainly around New South Wales, not very much rain other than up around the mountains. So it's all about the west coast, where your rainfall totals are up to 150 millimetres, or maybe even more than that over the next 7 days. And we're seeing a few more showers and thunderstorms showing up into the tropics. And speaking of, our place of the day on Flight Simulator is Batchelor in the Northern Territory, roughly 98 kilometres south of Darwin. Not roughly, it seems precisely actually. Elevation, 100 metres above sea level, population 500. Now check out the temperatures, 38 to 42 degrees over the next 7 days. Worth noting that the record October high, which I think is also their record high ever in any month of the year, 41.9 degrees, and we're forecasting 42. Whether or not it gets to exactly 42 or not, but that shows you this is some pretty hot weather for this time of the year coming down, and it may well challenge some of the records. Overnight lows 21 to 24, and the temperatures, will be with humidity as well. So there is the township. Sorry if I stood in front of it. I think I might have done for a wee bit, but this is the area here, out into the true outback. That is all from me. Apart from a couple thunderstorms around today, it is a dry forecast in that part of the world. But like you saw, there are showers developing now up around the tropics. That is all from me. Have a great day. We'll catch you again tomorrow.